let's close out this show the only way we could close out a show on Marc-Andre Fleury Day in Pittsburgh. And that's by talking about Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, he leads the 5-1-2 Wild into Pittsburgh. Fleury has been the backup in Minnesota this year. 1-0-1, 2.89 goals against average, a .900 save percentage. It's backup goaltender numbers. And in his 21st and final season, that's kind of what you would expect, right? Goaltenders typically don't last until their 40s. So Marc-Andre Fleury comes in playing at a decent level. This is his final trip to Pittsburgh. I think everybody with eyes and ears is aware of that. 13 years in a Penguin sweater, 375 wins, which is good for first in franchise history. 44 shutouts, which is good for first in franchise history, and a three-time Stanley Cup champion. So what we're going to do to close out this show is give you, in our opinion, the top 3 moments of Marc-Andre Fleury's Pittsburgh Penguins career. We'll bounce back and forth, given one each of us until we unveil our top 3, and I'm sure some of these are going to be the same. Horwat, let's start with number 3. What is number 3 on your list for the best moments of Marc-Andre Fleury?
Doesn't help that a couple of mine are various moments, but the first thing I came up with were the multiple saves on Alex Ovechkin in the playoffs. I think we can all think of a couple right off the top of our head. Those are the ones I'm talking about. Because you can't take away 3-time Stanley Cup champion from him. A lot of people try to with that 16 run. Do as you will. His name's on the cup. He was a great goaltender in the regular season. So give it up. He's a 3-time Cup champion. And especially in 09 and 17 was a huge piece of the playoff push and of the playoff run. So important for those little moments to get on there. And I think everyone thinks of those saves on Ovechkin specifically just because of how much they meant to the run as a whole.
Yeah, Game 7 in 2009 and then Game 7 once again in 2017. And that's where I'm actually going to go with my number 2 one. So I'll bounce to 2 and then I'll hit my 3 again, because that is my number 2 moment of Marc-Andre Fleury's career. His Game 7 performance against the Caps, not in 2009, but in 2017. It was huge in 2009 as well, don't get me wrong, but a 29-save shutout in Game 7 in Washington against that Capitals team, it's kind of like Big Ben. It wasn't his final game, and even it wasn't his final shutout in a Penguins uniform. He got one of those in the Eastern Conference Final, but it was his parting gift to the organization. That type of performance in that type of scale, in that type of moment against that type of opponent, that was a game in which Marc-Andre Fleury bid farewell to the Pittsburgh Penguins with that type of performance. So I have that as my number 2 moment. Listen, Game 7 in 2009, equally as huge. That glove save on the breakaway was massive. That performance was masterful. But I think because of the meaning of that game in 2017, kind of the last great hurrah for Marc-Andre Fleury in a Penguins uniform, I'm going to give that one at number 2, which, again, out of order here a little bit, but my number 3 is his shootout save against Daniel Alfredsson. I could have gone a couple of different ways with this one, but that shootout save against Alfredsson, I believe in 2014, he goes for the poke check. Alfredsson pulls it back because, well, he is a Hall of Famer and knew that was coming. Goes to the backhand, doesn't elevate for some reason, and Fleury just windmill, puts the glove on the ice and pins it up against the post. One of the most miraculous saves I think you're ever going to see. I could have gone with his save on Erik Karlsson when he flew across the crease and made the glove save falling to the ice, but I'm going to go with his shootout save on Alfredsson. 1, because it was crazy, and 2, because those early Crosby era teams, Alfredsson was a pest for them, and to see Fleury get Alfredsson on that one, even though he was on the Red Wings at that point, to see him get Alfredsson back on that one, it made me feel good inside.
There's a couple of really good miraculous saves he would make because of his style of play. Just sprawling, just wild, just Dominic Hasek, but honed in a little, and definitely didn't make as many saves. But that was certainly one of the big ones. And I think of, when it comes to the shootouts, you think of that one. I also think randomly of the one against the Rangers where he made the save. But I think it was against Kreider, where the rebound hit off Kreider's stick again in it, but it was so quick that the Rangers thought they won and were literally leaving the ice. Yeah, when the officials had to pull them back out just for the Penguins to win. Hilarious moment. I believe excuse me, I believe that was during one of the cup years too, to make things even funnier. But I remember that one specifically as well. And I mean, shootouts aren't a fun part of the game anymore, but Fleury made them fun for the goalie side of things on a couple of occasions in his day.
Yeah, back when the shootout wasn't played out like it is today. But
no kidding.
But that was my number 3. Again, my number 2 was the Game 7 performance against the Caps in 2017. Horwat, what is your number 2 moment of Marc-Andre Fleury's Penguins career?
Again, this is another one that's just, it's a couple of moments. It's happened a couple of times. Him trying to fight, and one of those times didn't even happen in Pittsburgh. There's a whole list of moments you could pick for Fleury, not even in Pittsburgh, which is him trying to fight. He's always wanted to. I believe it was against Montreal whenever he tried to do it with the Penguins. And then against Jordan Binnington whenever he was with Minnesota. And both times, people just didn't let him do it, which sucks. Let the man have his fun, especially now. He's old. Who cares?
Yeah, with Binnington would have been interesting. Binnington is a hothead, but I'm not sure how good he is when he drops the gloves. The one in Pittsburgh, the referee saved his life.
Yes.
I mean, he was going out and trying to scrap with Peter Budaj, who, if you don't know, Peter Budaj, I'm pretty sure they said black belt in jiu-jitsu or something like that. Peter Budaj would have wrecked Marc-Andre Fleury. So I'm very happy that they didn't let him do that. I mean, you could kind of go transversely in when Marc-Andre Fleury got part of a shutout when Brent Johnson fought Rick DiPietro back in the day. So, I mean, a lot of fighting surrounding Marc-Andre Fleury. The 2 things he has yet to accomplish in his 21 years as an NHL goaltender: fight, goalie goal. One's happened in Pittsburgh, and now Philip Gustafsson had one in Minnesota earlier this season with Fleury sitting there on the bench.
He keeps watching his teammates do it, and he keeps watching his teammates get in fights too. His goalie teammates get in fights. I believe that happened as well somewhere. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't a goalie goal happen against him, or am I just now completely making things up?
See, that I don't remember.
All right.
It might have been in the last, 8 years since he left the Penguins, but I don't remember a goalie goal against him.
Yeah, if anything, if I'm speaking out of turn, which is extremely possible because I didn't look into it, he's watching all these things happen, and he is yet to be a part of it. But so be it. He'll have his moment in the Hall of Fame soon enough. And moving on to the number 1 spot, I just gonna jump into it because I have one that's definitely thought of less, especially now with revisionist history. But it was an awesome moment that I really enjoyed when it happened, and I've never forgotten it. But it was him passing the cup to Matt Murray after the 17 victory. At the time, it did look like and did feel like the passing of the torch in Pittsburgh. Everyone knew at the time Fleury was gone. Everyone knew that it was going to be Murray's crease for, what was supposed to be a good long while. And at the time, it was just one of those cool moments of he looked, you can tell Fleury looked for him. You could tell Fleury looked for Matt Murray on the ice, and went to him and gave him the Stanley Cup for that moment of passing the torch for goaltending in Pittsburgh. Again, revisionist history, brutal look, but at the time, in a vacuum, I had goosebumps when it happened.
Yeah, everybody obviously had great things to say about the way that Fleury handled kind of losing his job, the job that he had had for a decade plus since being drafted first overall back in the 2003 draft. But he handled it well. He handled it as good as anybody could handle it. And he left on the best term possible, winning a Stanley Cup and kind of handing it over to the guy that took his job. So, yeah, revisionist history, you look back on it and you say, man, Fleury stayed in the league longer than Matt Murray did, essentially. That's tough. I mean, Murray could still get in the league, but Murray's, I think, a 3 or a 4 at this point.
It'll take some work.
It'll take some work. But obviously, a big moment in Fleury's career, and one that certainly people are going to look back on and kind of show as an example as to the type of teammate he was, not as much as the type of player. But I'm going with the save. I mean, I can't go anywhere else. I was like, okay, this is my list. It doesn't matter. And I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter if it's my list or anybody's list. The save on Nicklas Lidstrom, 2009 Stanley Cup final. Game 7, 2-1 lead. Max Talbot, who's in the town right now, scores 2 goals, and the time is ticking off the clock. Not only does he make a save, not only does he make a sprawling save, but he makes it on one of the greatest, if not the greatest defenseman of all time. Some people are on either side of that. I would go Bobby Orr, but some people make the argument for Nick Lidstrom. But to make that save on Lidstrom in 2009, the most iconic moment, I feel like, of his career, that snapshot, that image, is the one image that is going to last forever for Marc-Andre Fleury. So I think that, to me, that is undoubtedly the top moment of his Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, whenever I know Fleury's already had his, his welcome back video, his this, that, the other. Whatever they do at PPG Paints Arena tonight, that save will be brought up a couple of times. So that's, if they do another video tribute, if they're doing another gift, even though they did all of it last season too, which makes this hilarious. That will be a big part of it. It's already been a big part of Fleury's A, career, B, just legacy, and C, just every time he comes back to Pittsburgh, it's that replay, it's that replay, it's that replay. To the point where I look at it and go, okay, I got it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
one of those moments. Yeah,
it's literally painted onto PPG Paints Arena.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where after a while you go, okay, we got it, we get it. But it's one of those reasons. It is his free bird essentially. It's okay, we got it, but we know why we got it.
Yeah,
I say that with Leonard Skinner hanging behind me. Did not mean that. That's hilarious.
You planned it. You planned this all out. You've been waiting for 37 minutes and 30 seconds to be like, I'm going to make a Freebird reference with Marc-Andre Fleury, and that's why I put Leonard Skinner on the wall behind me. I know you've been waiting for it, but let's play the hits as far as, talking about Marc-Andre Fleury. Close this out. Do you think his jersey gets retired in Pittsburgh when it's all said and done?
It should. I mean, I do believe it should. It's going to be Crosby, Malkin, obviously. People want to argue Letang. No, he's getting his number retired too. Let's not try and fight this. And when it comes down to it, because of the standard he set for goaltending in Pittsburgh, yes, absolutely, Marc-Andre Fleury should as well.
I've been back and forth on this issue a lot, but I think this is my final stance. No. Listen, Marc-Andre Fleury for a long time was one of my favorites. It was always Crosby, and then it was usually Fleury. And when he left, I was very upset. I understood, but I was very upset. But I'm of the belief now that there should only be 5 names hanging in PPG Paints Arena until the next great comes along for Pittsburgh, which might not be for a while. That's Lemieux. That's Michel Briere. That's Jaromir Jagr, the 3 that are already up there. And I think they should be joined by Sidney Crosby and Evgeni Malkin. I think what Fleury and Letang have done for the city of Pittsburgh and the Penguins organization has been tremendous. But let's not act like there haven't been greats in this city before them. Let's not act like there haven't been players that have meant a lot to this city before them. I think that is a designation to get your number retired in Pittsburgh that should be reserved for the greatest of the greats. And that's Crosby, that's Malkin, and that's the 3 that are already up there, and Lemieux, Briere, and Jagr.